What's up, everyone? And today we are going to be covering how to start crypto investing in 2019. This episode is going to be this episode I'm going to be kind of sharing what am I going to be doing in 2019 specifically. You must be wondering, oh, hey, it's like February, Ryan. Why are you doing this 2019 invest crypto investing in 2019 now? Well, you see, we just finished, or at least we're still in the period of the Chinese New Year. So to me, as a Asian and as a Chinese, obviously it's the New Year now. So we all had a really tough 2018. We had a excellent 2017. So right now, I think everybody is wondering, has the market bottomed? Should we start rebuying cryptocurrencies? Traders are saying, we are still in the bear market. I'm only going to short every single pump. Great. So my approach has always been, as an investor, I don't really do much trading. I usually leave all that stuff to Andy. But today I want to really give you all my personal strategy, or at least how I'm going to approach this. And it's going to be so easy to follow. And I just want you all to take note on a few things before you start rebuilding your portfolio. So why you want to watch this episode? Firstly, this episode is non-financial advice whatsoever. It's just my personal opinion and my sharing of me sharing my thoughts on how I'm going to rebuild my crypto portfolio. Just to give you a little bit of a background, Crypto Grinders was started as a channel to educate the masses about investing and trading about cryptocurrency, right? So I was someone who was a banker for 6.5 years. I was always helping high net worth clients create their portfolios, right? Because whenever they have money kept with us in the bank, we needed to at least share with them what is being offered other than a savings account or a fixed deposit. So for right now in the crypto space, it's very unique. Everyone is only able to look at YouTube for their so-called direction or whatnot. But of course, us YouTubers, we are non-licensed financial advisors, so we cannot provide you any kind of financial advice, but we definitely are able to share our thoughts and our opinions and our strategies with you. So let me just kind of clarify a few things. And had I known all this back in 2017, right, I think I would have been a way better investor than I would be now. So I'm not coming across as a trader today. I'm only coming across as an investor. And I think ever since 2017 till now, there's a lot of different types of developments, and of course there are a lot of failures, especially in the market. And I think right now it is a good time to kind of take a look at the market and start strategizing what is there. So let's get into it. So right now, I think we still have a few things within the blockchain space. One, we have the cryptocurrencies. These are currencies that you use to transact and buy stuff, and of course transfer funds from one person to another, either pseudonymously or anonymously, depending on what kind of cryptocurrency you're using. The current scenario is that there are not many merchants or vendors that are accepting crypto, but there are projects such as PundiX that are making quite a bit of effort, doing the groundwork and putting their exports out into the world. Now, this is a non-sponsored video whatsoever, guys. This is just what kind of projects that are out there that we can clearly see that are now working towards mass adoption. Now, mass adoption obviously is one of the most painful things now for everybody, because in the past, everybody was thinking, being that we were all in the same bubble or little universe, we thought that the mass adoption was going to happen like, tomorrow or something, but clearly it's going to take a number of years. And, we have to really address that, because if we don't understand how adoption happens, it's actually through it's not like a game. Okay, that's the thing. It's not building a business is never fun. It can be, but it's never easy. I should say that it's never easy building a business. And right now, I think a lot of people at the time, because of the way that the market reacted, especially in 2017 when the whole ICO and exchanges were holding varying amounts of liquidity and tokens, all the market makers and movements were very easily created to give you the impression that wow, there's a lot of growth. And it's true. Okay, it's true that a lot of the companies in the space really did raise that kind of crazy amounts of money, because at the end of the day, right, you needed to convert your fiat to BTC or your fiat to Ethereum before you can participate in a particular ICO, right? Now, the ICO space is somewhat a fundraising. It's a fundraising scheme, right? Where companies, especially the projects that are the companies that are raising money are usually towards the blockchain or cryptocurrency space. Sure, there were certain traditional businesses that were trying to leverage on the ICO, but most of them were not sexy enough and they couldn't raise that amount of money. But right now, I think the ICO space is has tapered down tremendously. We're talking about, in the past, you would see anywhere from a few hundred projects that were going to be doing their initial coin offering and launching every month. Now you're seeing only a handful. So as you can see, it has drastically dropped, right? No one is trying to raise crazy amounts, because as the space gets more and more educated, like for us, we clearly know that in the past, a traditional IPO business can only raise anywhere from 200,000 to a million. Especially in the initial rounds, you're already considered. When I say initial rounds, we're talking about concept. That means it's just an idea and you start asking people for money, and maybe you have a prototype, and this prototype you can easily make it yourself. It's nothing too difficult. And then after that, you start going around and convincing people about your idea. That's when you probably can raise anywhere from 50,000 to about maybe 200,000 just to start working in your backyard or something. Or hopefully you can go and find maybe a VC that owns an incubator, or maybe they have an accelerator program. So that is that space, right? But then the ICO space opened up a whole new era, a whole new I would say a whole new perspective for people to not perspective whatever. Anyway, open up a whole new I can't even mention the word at the moment. It opens up a whole new space. All right, an opportunity for young companies. And when I say young companies, sometimes the credentials are pretty ridiculous. On one hand, you have really inexperienced individuals that probably just finished school. They saw the whole space, and then after that, they've never ever raised money before. They've never even started a business before, but they were trying to kind of put out their ideas. And hey, putting out ideas, and if let's say I built a website, I created a white paper, and people in this space were going to be digging my idea, they would start contributing to my Ethereum wallet or my BTC wallet, because they like my idea, or I was able to build a very kick-ass website. And true enough, that was the space at the time. That was the virality at the time. Nobody really did any due diligence whatsoever. Okay, no one cared about how this was going to work. They just believed that every single initial coin offering that they saw, and it kind of gelled well, and if let's say it was done up properly, they would participate. So that was then. Then there was a phase where you would have really strong, high-profile individuals that have been in certain industry for certain industries or their industries for quite some time, and they would start popping up. So what I found out was most of these advisors or board of directors, they were just a placeholder. So what does that mean? It just means that their profile was just being borrowed, right? Either either with permission or without permission by those so-called CEOs or CTOs or founders of those companies, right? And if the ICO was run well, they would be paid obviously with the tokens value, right? So that was the trade-off. And obviously, if it's by permission, they will say, hey, I've known you for quite some time. I'm going to be doing an ICO. I will be running an ICO. Could I use your profile? Because maybe the CEO or the founders don't have that much credentials as opposed to the people that they know. So they would come on board. So take note on that. Now, fake LinkedIn profiles. LinkedIn, unfortunately, although it's a very widely used platform for putting up your street cred as per se, right? Because these days social proof is very important, and it's not that everybody has a YouTube channel. Not everybody updates their LinkedIn profile. Prior to this whole ICO, right, a lot of people don't even use LinkedIn. I mean, let's just face it. If you apply a job, right? If you apply a job, you just have your resume, and if you need to change your job, you just have to update your resume, right? And then send it over to the next employer. LinkedIn kind of helps people connect on a professional level, but LinkedIn, because of the whole ICO space, it was widely used as a platform to allow people to kind of validate the experience of the particular founders. So what I realized is that LinkedIn doesn't have a way to validate whether these individuals had the qualifications that they claim they have, and neither can you validate whether these people have the experience that they claim they have. Now, the good thing is that there is another layer, which is other people endorsing that you have these skills. But when you are well connected in a sense, and you already organized it in such a way, you will tend to have other people doing the same for you, and you will endorse each other because you already plan to do this and fabricate the information. So I think once blockchain actually, this is an actual use case, by the way, once blockchain creates this immutable database where people start putting in their certifications or their street cred or their credentials, right, from where they are as a particular industry, I think this is a very good use case. And if in the future, whether LinkedIn uses it or another company that adopts it, I think that's where we can see these use cases. Because right now, I can claim that I have a PhD or I have 2 PhDs, and no one will know none the wiser. Because, if sure, maybe you see someone who doesn't endorse it, I can come up with a video saying that I have 2 PhDs 100 times, more or less. After a while, it becomes real, you see? So that's the problem. You're not going to come all the way to Singapore and start asking around, hey, was Ryan really a banker? Well, of course I was. But the thing is, how do you know? See, so eventually once there is a chain, right? Once there is a chain that's created in such a way, or a blockchain protocol that functions in such a way, then you will say, okay, these people are not who they say they are. And the longer the chain and the longer the chain, and you know that you can't change the data and everything like that, you know that the person is credible. So that's one thing. So then it comes down to the fundraising. After when they do the fundraising, you're gonna have the issues of wondering whether did they really raise the funds. Sure, they can put the wallet there and say that this is the amount that we raised. There there are projects that have been very, very honest. They will say, okay, this is the amount we raise, and this is the amount of tokens that are going to be circulated. This is the amount that we are going to be keeping. This is the amount that is going to be designated for marketing, our team, and so on and so forth. They will allocate and be very transparent. But there are some companies that do that just for the sake of doing it, but they will not be honest about how they manage their funds. So it's still gonna happen. Okay, there's nothing that really anyone can do. Hence, because the ICO space was such a wild west and there was so little transparency, there comes the STOs, which is the security token offerings. And the security token offerings are going to be slower, they're going to be regulated, and obviously they have to be on licensed exchanges. Whereas the ICOs don't have to be on any licensed exchanges. In fact, to be fair, to be honest, there's no licensed exchanges at the moment. Okay, there's no such thing because the digital asset license was something that came out very, very recently. So obviously, these companies just started it first, and then after that, since they are already profitable businesses, and at the time, if I was someone who started a digital asset exchange, I would say, hey man, if let's say a governing body were to come and ask me questions and everything like that, I just started the business. You didn't have the license. Do you have the license now? I'll go and apply it, no problem. And if your license states that I need to comply to a certain set of rules and regulations, then I'll comply to a certain set those rules and regulations. Coinbase did that. If you look at Coinbase started Coinbase first before they even applied for the license, right? So that's how it's going to work. So right now, you will have exchanges applying the license first because they don't want to go back into just being a digital asset to digital asset exchange. That's nothing special anymore. Right now, you will have exchanges that will be fully compliant, or at least as compliant as possible within that particular jurisdiction. Now, just to be clear, it is not easy to just simply set up an exchange with a full license. And when I say full license, means that you can do crypto to fiat as well. Because crypto to fiat is very, very powerful. There are only very few exchanges in the world that can do that. Right now, I think the ones that are Coinbase and Gemini. Then in Singapore is CoinHako, and and I think there's some kind of workarounds, and I don't want to go too much into detail because sometimes it's not as straightforward. But since they are able to do that for now, we assume that they are able to do certain things. But right now, I would say not many are. Everybody's just trying to figure their way around. Okay, so as an investor, you're gonna have to ask yourself, how am I gonna approach this space? How am I gonna start investing in this space if you decide to do so? One thing I must stress, and I stress this I really want to stress this properly. Do not use do not over leverage or put too much into this space. It is still too young, and it's definitely still in a large part of all these projects, right? And we're talking about the ones that even raised a lot of money are still developing. They still haven't actually successfully created that ecosystem that they want to create. Sure, there are certain cryptocurrencies that are being very, very prominent, and they're showing off that they are able to buy companies and whatnot. But you have to be very cautious about what they're trying to do. So just take note that it depends on what are they trying to acquire. Okay. So another thing that you want to take note of is how much of a portfolio should I start allocating into crypto. Now, if you're someone who already has a existing portfolio of, say, stocks, gold, you probably will start looking at crypto, because I wouldn't say it has completely bottomed out, but I would say that a large part of the selling pressure is already gone. It's now pretty tame, as per se. Could it drop a notch or two more? It could. So that is why it boils down to the strategy. So personally, what I'm going to be doing is very simple. I'm going to be dedicating a certain amount every month to various cryptocurrencies that I feel have been in the market for quite some time. At the same time, they've shown promising developments in what they do. So I'm not going to be going in depth directly to what these cryptocurrencies do, but more of just giving you a feel of what is the projects that I feel that are going to be doing very well in the next few years to come. So one of those projects is EOS, because EOS has had quite a bit of dApps or developments happening. So dApps are basically decentralized applications. And although EOS is a much younger project as opposed to Ethereum, they did get a lot of funding. And I think in this market, right, in this market, you need to have more funding than you think you need. Why is that so? Because of the volatility in crypto, right? You need to have just more funding, not because you purposely want to, but because if, let's say, the cryptocurrency drops drastically, people still need to eat. You still need to pay your developers. You still need to pay for rental, operating costs. All this is usually denominated in US dollars. So you will have to buffer for it. So even though EOS raised, I think 4 billion, or is it 4 billion or maybe $1 billion or something like that? They really raised a lot of money, and it was a very long drawn ICO. Okay, and it had a very unique mechanism. Okay, but I feel that if, let's say, EOS was able to manage its funds rather carefully, they are definitely able to stand the test of time, and they can really focus on hiring great talent into the company and continue to provide for the space. So they are very focused on the enterprise solutions. I'm sure that it's being that it's an open source, they are still able to allow other developers from outside, not internally, to start developing on it, just like Ethereum. Ethereum, on the other hand, is having quite a bit of its struggles. Okay, so I'm not really going to be touching too much on Ethereum, although sure, there's going to be some revamp and whatever, but I'm not really going to be touching Ethereum. The next cryptocurrency that I will probably be looking at, okay, so let me just maybe share some charts, right? So BTC, the BTC to me is definitely still a go. As I mentioned, I am going to be looking at EOS. I am going to be looking at, of course, BTC as usual. And then Litecoin of late has shown some progress, but with the recent tweet about privacy and everything, that's caused that quite a little bit of an excitement. And then after you see this nice spike upwards, right? From I think we're looking at anywhere from $30. So there was a 50%, more than 50% increase at one point. So I guess it really boils down to actual adoption here and how many merchants. When I talk about cryptocurrencies, like I said, cryptocurrencies, you must have widespread adoption and acceptance. If you have no one accepting Litecoin as payment, right? It's very subjective because any merchant, you see, I can accept payment in Litecoin if I choose, right? The question is, am I able to hedge it out in time? You see, what if, let's say I give you a very simple example. You are someone who runs a bakery. You are open-minded and you accept Litecoin. Okay, so you're now being paid Litecoin today because Litecoin is $44, $45, okay? And someone paid you $20 at this current rate. You accept it, okay, you go about your day, you hedge it out only at the end of the day. Litecoin decides to take a tank, it goes back to $35. You already lost a good percentage, more than 20% in a single day, right? You lost 20% in a single day. So as a merchant, there has to be a very efficient way of hedging out that risk. As long as you hedge out that risk, the adoption will happen. Therefore, I mentioned X at the beginning of of the of the the episode, because they already have the POS system. When you have the POS system, you don't have to care about that anymore as a merchant. If that dude comes in with a particular top up card, which is the X top up card, and says, "Hey, I'm gonna be buying $20 worth of bread from you. All right, can I pay with Litecoin? Can I pay with Bitcoin? Can I pay with X?" Sure, tap, done. I get the transaction happens in the back end. From then, X will release the fiat to me to my bank account. That's it. You get what I mean? It should be seamless. You don't have to care about this kind of stuff. So just giving you an example. Now the next thing is, I still like the exchange tokens, because let's just put it this way: there aren't too many around that are having the same longevity, and also in terms of aggression. First is always important, but at the same time, also being able to last and build a brand across time is very important. So yes, Huobi has is still a cryptocurrency that I would look at, and it will be good to start looking at it at the moment, because it did dip below $1. We were all thinking that below $1 would never happen. It did, but then after that, it did recover and it's now above $1 again. It took a while, but very, very quickly, it rebounded. So another piece of history about Huobi is that they've been doing digital asset to assets for the past 5 years. Okay, for more than 5 years. I think it speaks a lot. A lot of the time, a lot of people who step into this space, right, don't really care about how long a business is run, how it's being run, how it generates revenue, whether it has sales or not. Does it have a growing customer base? Sure, there are a lot of controversies behind exchanges faking volume, having exclusive listings, but business is like that. It's very cutthroat. You have to do what you got to do. Sometimes you just have to sleep with the government. It's very normal. Every single business is more or less like that. How do you think all these people or companies or businesses, right, have been doing businesses with other governments, their own government, and of course, sometimes not having to pay taxes, while the average citizen has been paying taxes through their noses, right? So let's not be too naive, right? So all these things, right, are happening around you. And of course, eventually there'll be the introduction of accredited investors. Now that part is, so just to highlight, you can go and search on Wikipedia what an accredited investor is all about. So it just basically means that you earn a certain type of income, right? And you are either, it depends. Every single country is different. Some countries require you to have 200,000 per annum in terms of income for the past 12 months. Some is 300,000. Others go by net assets excluding your property. Okay, depending on what it depends on where you are in the world. So I don't want to go too much into that, but if you are someone who is an accredited investor, it just means that you are obviously high net worth. But does it mean that you are smarter than the people who have been investing in cryptocurrencies? This is a new asset class. The beauty of this new asset class is that anybody can get into it. And anybody who is savvy enough, who is more well read, has an opportunity. The unfortunate part, however, is that future offerings, especially if they are security tokens, right, will implement this accredited investor criteria, because at the end of the day, they are going to be licensed, they're going to be securities, and when you do fundraising early on, or early part of the earlier stage, right, it definitely will require individuals to be accredited investors if you want to go in early. Now, when you go in early, there could be offerings on tokens, there could be offerings on equity, it just depends. But at the end of the day, once it hits the exchanges, it is a free-for-all. Now, when it hits the exchanges, obviously it's already at a premium. But if you're someone who knows how to trade the markets and invest in the markets, you don't have to be desperate and FOMO, as they say, fear of missing out, because every single time. So this is another one of my tips, right? If you're still watching, is that whenever it hits the exchanges, two things can happen. They either have enough orders coming in. That means people definitely want to buy and sell, or they were companies that paid for market making. Because let's just put it this way: half of the time, or majority of the time, the amount of the kind of community that they build usually is all via airdrops. If what are airdrops? Okay, firstly, if you're someone who has never invested in cryptocurrencies before, crypto projects tend to have Telegram communities. These Telegram communities are attracted in a variety of ways. The way that I built my business, and I didn't do an ICO, but I gradually built my community by doing lots of content on YouTube. And hence, I ask people, if you are someone who's interested in crypto, feel free to join my free Telegram group. That's it. However, a lot of these companies are too fucking lazy to do enough content, right? So what they do is go and pay so-called these community managers, right? And community managers, they are doing their job. Nothing to do with the community manager, but community managers, there are variety. There are those who are just taking care of the community within the Telegram group and answering questions. But then there are some community managers that are basically lead generators. So what they do, it's like the click farms, where they will airdrop other Telegram users, because they already have built this multiple Telegram groups, and then after that, they will offer an opportunity. So if I am an ICO and I say, hey, if you do this, and this, okay, so you go and click on my subscribe to my Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, do this, do that, I will airdrop you into my Telegram group. And then after that, give me your email. I will pay you an X amount of my tokens. This is the marketing part. So no one wants to go into a Telegram group and then, oh, there's only 100 people. It doesn't look very convincing. So when you see Telegram groups, that's why I love it when Telegram just recently, they have this online. You can see the number of people online, and if you have a Telegram group that has an exorbitant number, like 100,000 Telegram people, right? I guarantee you it's more or less one person having 10 Telegram accounts. And it's very easy to do, especially if you are, doing prepaid or postpaid, because every single Telegram account has to be attached to a mobile phone. So once you understand how the game is being played, right, you start assessing whether or not this community is real or fake. And it all boils down to, what are people asking within the Telegram. If internally they're asking, hey, when am I going to get my airdrop? When am I going to get my airdrop? Then you're like, as an investor, you'll be like, what airdrop? I thought that, as an investor, you get your tokens only after the ICO. Am I missing something? So you realize that that's the difference. Okay, that's the difference. So everyone who wants to raise money fast. So that's why just be a little bit more cautious on that. And as you go through this space and you start building your portfolio, you get a little bit more seasoned. You start understanding how the whole game is being played. Why sometimes there are certain pumps that happen. So pumps can happen in a few ways. There are the pleb pumps. Okay, pleb is basically the small volume, where the 24-hour volume for a particular crypto is in some kind of, it can be on the larger exchanges, by the way, because since the order books are so thin, right, it's easy to move. Okay, so anything that drops below a certain amount in terms of 24-hour volume, it's very easy to move. It's very easy to collude with others. Basically, signal groups can come together and say, hey, we're going to be moving this for a particular reason. So the whole idea, right, to make it a successful pump and dump, is that you have to make sure that you have a large enough group. And so I noticed there's been a lot of collusion between the Signal groups as of late. By the way, I'm not a Signal group. We are just a community. Yes, I do have a premium group, but we're very mature. We only do investments and do very, very little trading because we believe that we are looking for the strong upside swings. We're not caring about the 3, 4, 5, 15%. We're not interested in that because we know that we've been around long enough. So we know that at the end of the day, right now, you want to stay invested. You don't want to freaking move in and out, because the moment you move in and out, you may miss the main upside, and that's what we don't want. So we are focused on just staying invested. We're not really trading too much. We do a little bit, but not too much. So that's kind of like where you have to be at. If you are someone who's coming in, you have very limited capital or a portion that you want to dedicate, you have to approach it with a dollar cost averaging strategy. Don't come in with let's say 5,000 is your whole amount that you want to invest in. Let's just assume, right? Let's say I want to come in with $5,000. I would spread that across 2 years. Okay, I would spread that across 2 years. That's how I would approach it. I'm not gonna spend $5,000 right now unless I can do that continuously for 2 years. Now, if you're very rich, yeah, maybe that's what you could do. But I would spread that across. So your percentage is very, very minimal. We're talking about negligible. So in the event that there's more correction to come, now everyone is now having this talk about whether has it bottomed, have we bottomed, are we gonna see more downside? Nobody knows, man. Nobody knows are we gonna experience more downside or not. But if we do, right, at least you're not going to feel like, oh shit, my 5,000 became 3,000 in a matter of a few days, because you are doing a dollar cost averaging strategy. So yeah, guys, look out for projects that have products. I think that's very, very important. It's okay that it doesn't have a actual physical product. It can be a software solution, but the software solution has to work. But also be careful that people can buy demos, right? That means it's not an actual working product that you can use. Make sure that you can beta test it. If it's just a video and you cannot beta test it, stay away for now. Okay, don't get excited. There's always another opportunity. Okay, so this is kind of like the stuff that I can share. I know it's a little bit lengthy, but hey, it's our money, right? And I think money is hard to earn, and I think it's very important that we stay with the right mindset and not over invest too much and be like the folks that invested late in 2017 and now it's very hard for them to recover, right? Let's not do that. Let's just go in, be very cautious, but have a strategy in place and start identifying what are the great projects or cryptocurrency or blockchain projects that are out there. So if you felt that this video was helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you feel that you want to know more about my channel or watch my next few episodes, don't forget to give click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video. See you guys.